Hello, this is the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children's Childline. How can I assist you today?
What should I do if I want to kill somebody?
In October 2019, an anonymous phone call was made to the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children's Childline. What was a desperate plea for help was ultimately ignored, allowing his wretched thoughts to fester. Multiple warning signs were dismissed, and nearly 5 years later, Rudakubana would carry out one of the most horrific attacks in UK history. This is the story of Axel Rudakubana. Born on August 7, 2006, in Cardiff, Wales, Axel Rudakubana grew up as a quiet choir boy, as his neighbors would describe him. They often heard him singing above their suburban homes. His parents, Laetitia Muzair and Alphonse Rudakubana, moved to the Welsh capital from Rwanda in 2002. They'd settle up north to the Southport area in 2013. From a young age, Rudakubana was drawn to the magic of acting, even stepping into the role of Doctor Who for a BBC Children in Need advert, complete with the oversized coat and spectacles. This early passion for the performing arts led to the enrollment at Pauline Quirk Academy of Performing Arts, paving the way for a potential career in the industry. At one point, Rudakubana was even represented by a talent agency. However, despite the promise of a bright future in showbiz, his lack of confidence ultimately fizzled those dreams. He'd then enroll at Range High School in the seaside town of Formby, Merseyside. For the first couple of years, Rudakubana seemed like a normal schoolboy. But when he returned to the school after the summer he turned 13, something changed. During the first month of the new term, he complained about being racially bullied. Classmates recalled that he began displaying disruptive behavior, frequently challenging teachers and occasionally storming out of lessons. An act that soon became known among students as doing an Axel. One of these incidents was caught on camera, with him having to be restrained by fellow classmates as he tried to attack a teacher. It was shortly after this incident, in October 2019, that he made the phone call to the Childline, asking for help. He revealed to the phone operator that he was carrying a knife to school to protect him from bullying. In a statement, the NSPCC confirmed that Rudakubana reached out to its counseling service a few times in 2019. The final instance was deemed serious enough to cross a threshold, prompting Childline to escalate their concerns to local authorities. He was subsequently expelled from Range High School and mainstream education altogether. Following this, Rudakubana's obsession for violence deepened. He returned to his former school on December 11, 2019 to exact revenge. He was carrying a hockey stick on which he had carved the names of his former pupils, and violently attacked a student, breaking his wrist. A teacher then had to restrain him, and on his body was found a knife, leading him to be charged with assault and possession of a weapon. He pleaded guilty, earning a criminal record at 13, and undertook a rehabilitative program centered on knife crime and offending behavior. He completed this in 2021. After this, he was admitted to the Acorn School, a special education needs establishment in Ormskirk, and soon he'd be diagnosed with autism and ADHD. During an IT class at Acorns, Rudakubana made unsettling comments about mass shootings. The teacher who went to confront him saw him looking at a webpage about a bloodbath at a US high school. He was reported to Prevent, the government's anti-radicalization program. After being interviewed by counterterrorism officers, it was not escalated because they couldn't discern a firm ideology. Then, in March of 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, forcing the entire country into lockdown. Rudakubana was left to his own devices, falling deeper into horrific rabbit holes. He became a virtual recluse. He spent hours and hours a day online consuming radical, genocidal content, and between October 2019 and May 2022, he was reported multiple times by classmates, teachers, and even his parents as his behavior became increasingly more erratic. During one incident, his mother reported him missing. Police found him on a bus armed with a knife, refusing to pay his fare. While being interviewed by officers, Rudakubana said that he wanted to stab someone so police would seize his phone and delete embarrassing videos. Despite his admission for violence, officers drove him home and asked his mother to keep knives out of his reach. Only a couple weeks later, Rudakubana's dad called police for help when he erupted after being banned from using his laptop. He started throwing food, locked himself in the bathroom, and began flooding the bath. The electricity in their home soon cut out. By February 2023, Rudakubana had shut himself out. He hadn't been to school for over a year, not leaving his house for 4 to 5 months. On July 22, 2024 at 12:20 p.m., 1 week before his infamous attack at the Heart Space, Rudakubana booked a taxi under the alias Simon. His destination was Range High School, the institution that expelled him years before. The school was scheduled to go on summer holiday at 12:30 p.m. and would have been busy with kids at the time. However, as soon as the taxi arrived, Rudakubana's dad could be seen rushing out of his home to stop his son, because he was armed with a knife. Despite the implications, nothing was done, and 1 week later, on July 29, 2024, Rudakubana wouldn't be stopped, acting on his violent thoughts. A Taylor Swift-themed dance class began on Hart Street. At home, Rudakubana searched the social media platform X for a video of the Bishop Marmarie Emanuel stabbing in Sydney, seemingly trying to hype himself up before wiping his search history from his Lenovo tablet. A doorbell camera caught him pacing outside of his family home before catching a taxi to the dance studio. Rudakubana, wearing a green hoodie, black tracksuit pants, and a surgical mask covering his face, left his home in Banks in a Toyota taxi. Underneath his hoodie was a knife he bought online days earlier. Rudakubana arrived at Hart Street, exiting the taxi without paying. The driver followed him outside of the taxi, confronting him about his fare. A nearby business owner saw the commotion and ordered Rudakubana to pay up, to which he replied, "What are you going to do about it?" and walked away into the community center where the dance class was held. Rudakubana moved to the sold-out Taylor Swift themed class, organized by teacher Miss Leanne Lucas, which had 26 children. He began systematically stabbing young girls as they sat, making friendship bracelets and singing along to the music. Miss Lucas and Jonathan Hayes, a local business owner, ran to the children's aid, only to be slashed by Rudakubana, becoming seriously wounded. Another dance tutor, Heidi Little, barricaded herself in the restroom with a small girl. The sounds of screaming children flooded the studio as they desperately tried to run away. 2 girls, Elsie and Bibi, were unable to escape. CCTV footage showed another girl, Alice, managing to flee the studio. However, she collapsed on the street from grave injuries. Footage also showed another child attempting to escape the building, only to be dragged back inside by Rudakubana, where he stabbed her repeatedly. Miraculously, she managed to stagger back out into the street, where she fell to the ground but ultimately survived. Police arrived at the scene. Officers found Rudakubana standing over BB King's body. Bodycam footage showed him being tackled to the ground and subsequently detained. he was taken to Copy Lane Police Station, where he gloated about his actions. B.B. King, age 6, had been subjected to 122 knife wounds. Elsie Dot Stancombe, age 7, had been subjected to 85 knife wounds. They both passed inside the dance studio. Alice Da Silva Aguiar, age 9, survived the initial attack, but would pass at the hospital the following day. 11 other children were injured during the spree, but thankfully survived. Miss Lucas and Jonathan Hayes also survived despite their serious wounds. Following this grisly attack, the search for answers began. By 1:29 p.m., armed forces raided Rudakubana's home, but what was supposed to be a routine search turned into a house of horrors. Upon entering the living room, it appeared as if Rudakubana had been sleeping there. Stacks of Amazon boxes were among a cluttered mess, and he had turned the room into his personal armory. Machetes, bow and arrows, and crudely made Molotov cocktails were among the chaos. The duvet that he had been sleeping on had a Cerbera knife hidden inside of it. 2 Lenovo tablets and an HP laptop were also recovered, with their browsing history deleted. However, police were able to recover the data, and they found various VPNs on each device in attempts to mask his IP address. Cached images of war and international conflicts relating to Ukraine, Gaza, and Korea were found, along with violent documents about Nazi Germany, violence around Buddhism in Sri Lanka, clan cleansing in Somalia, the Rwandan genocide, the Iraq and Balkans conflict, and victims of torture, beheadings, and more were found. The most troubling document found on Rudakubana's tablet was a PDF titled Military Studies in the Jihad Against the Tyrants, the Al-Qaeda Training Manual. The document described methods of killing with a knife and where to attack the victims, specifically the head and neck. The manual also provided instructions on how to produce ricin, a deadly poison with no known antidote. Investigations uncovered that he had followed these instructions, revealing that he ordered 150 castor beans under the alias Al-Rud, the material needed to produce ricin. He would get these packages delivered to his neighbors' homes in an attempt to cover his steps. His father Alphonse was aware of these mislabeled deliveries and apologized for them to his neighbor. One former neighbor, Caroline, told the BBC that he was clearly ordering seeds and having them delivered to a neighbor, possibly a decoy, so that it couldn't be traced to the address that he was living at. She also said that her cat had wandered into a police forensic tent during the search and began convulsing and foaming at the mouth, needing to be put down. She believes that her cat had come in contact with the ricin. Then, as police entered his bedroom, a cardboard box was found hidden beneath the floorboards. It contained a pair of goggles, funnels, and a conical flask stained in brown residue. A pestle and mortar were also recovered with leftover pulp in it. It is believed that Rudakubana used his bedroom as a lab while sleeping in the living room. Following his arrest, Rudakubana was charged with multiple offenses, including 3 counts of murder, 10 counts of attempted murder, possession of a bladed article, production of a biological toxin, and possession of a document useful to a person preparing an act of terrorism. On January 20th, 2025, Rudakubana pleaded guilty to all charges. He was given 13 life sentences with a minimum term of 52 years.